What's up? It's Merc here. In just 2 days, the early access launch of Diablo 4 is going to be upon us. Under 48 hours now, we're going to be live playing Diablo 4. And if you're looking for leveling guides to start out with, you've come to the right place. Over the next 2 days, I'm going to be releasing leveling guides for all classes. And today we're going to have up the Rogue. We're going to be doing a Shadow Flurry Rogue. This should be perfect for leveling up, getting those Paragon points, hitting all those renowns, completing campaign, and coming in the end game. Now, there is going to be a day 1 patch, so we don't know if the values of everything is going to hold and what the buffs and debuffs are going to be. I will update everything once we find out what the day patch is. But without further ado, let's get into our Shadow Fury Rogue. So first up, we're going to be going over the gear. So for the helmet, I took the Cowl of the Nameless. Its primary stats are going to be Dexterity, Cooldown Reduction, Crowd Control Duration Bonus, Maximum Energy, and the special ability that comes with it is you gain 15 to 25% increased lucky hit chance against crowd control enemies. Second up, for our chest armor, we're going to be taking Aspect of Elusive Menace. While you have both bonuses from the Close Quarters Combat Key passive active, your dodge chance increases by 1 to 5% whenever you're hit by a close enemy. Successfully dodging resets this bonus. And then for gloves, we're going to take Aspect of Synergy. Using an agility skill reduces the cooldown of your next subterfuge skill by 20%. Using a subterfuge skill increases the damage of your next agility skill by 10 to 30%. So this is going to help us keep up Dark Shroud almost constantly with the help with damage reduction and debuffs. For pants, we're going to be taking Aspect of the Crowded Sage. You're going to heal for X life per second for each close enemy you have for life per second. Now this is going to be really good because we're constantly going to be up close and personal with Flurry. For boots, we took Exploiter's Aspect. You have 20% increased crowd control duration. While enemies are unstoppable, you deal 20 to 50% increased damage to them. Unstoppable enemies are going to be your bosses, your Nightmare Dungeon bosses, stuff like that. For our ranged weapon, which we're not really going to be using that much besides, the only range skill we have is Puncture, we're going to be taking Smiting Aspect. You have 10 to 20% increased critical strike chance against entered enemies. While you are healthy, you gain 20 to 40% increased crowd control duration. We're going to be doing a lot of crowd control and really relying on those crowd control vulnerable and injured enemies. For Amulet, we're going to take Aspect of Corruption. Your imbuement skill effects have 20 to 40% increased potency against vulnerable enemies. Again, we're going to be constantly making enemies vulnerable, and especially when it comes down to bosses, the Shadow Imbuement with Flurry is going to really help out a lot. For our first ring, we're going to take Aspect of Encircling Blades. Flurry damages enemies in a circle around you and deals 8 to 15% increased damage. This is going to really help for the speed factor of clearing out dungeons and just doing other content. For the second ring, we took Aspect of Inner Calm. You deal 5 to 10% increased damage for each second you stand still, up to 30%. With Flurry, we're pretty much always going to be standing still while casting Flurry, so this is going to help tremendously as well. For our first dagger weapon, we're going to be taking the unique Doombringer. Its stats are going to be critical strike damage, core skill damage, lucky hit chance to heal, maximum life, and lucky hit up to 15 to 25% chance to deal blank shadow damage to surrounding enemies and reduce their damage done by 20% for 5 seconds. So this is really going to help alleviate some of the damage that we're going to be getting because we will be standing still when dealing with bosses and big crowds. Now we will have multiple agility skills to move throughout, but when we're dealing damage, we will be standing still. And then for our second dual weapon, we're going to take Vengeful Aspect. Lucky hit, making invulnerable, has up to a 30 to 50% chance to grant 3% increased critical strike chance for 3 seconds, up to 9%. So this is going to be all the aspects, all the gems we're going to be using. Our specialization is going to be combo points. Combo points is going to be the best for just running about. With Inner Sight, I know Inner Sight's hard because it just pops on random enemies, and it doesn't seem very effective to be running a speedy leveling guide. So we're going to hop on over to the skill tree. So the first few points we're going to be putting into is we're going to put a point in the puncture. We're going to put a point in the enhanced puncture. We're going to put another point in the fundamental puncture, and then we're going to come down and we're going to grab Flurry. We're going to go to enhance Flurry, then improve Flurry, and then we're going to come down here and grab our agility skills. We're going to grab Shadow Step. The Shadow Step is going to be really good for increased movement speed and for bossing. And then we're also going to grab Dash, and we're going to throw a point into enhanced Dash, and then we're going to come back up. We're going to throw a point in the Sturdy, and we're going to max out Siphoning Strikes. And then we're going to come down here, we're going to grab Dark Shroud. This is going to be our big damage reductor. We're going to throw a point in the Enhanced Dark Shroud. We're going to throw another point in the Countering Dark Shroud. We're going to come down and we're going to grab Shadow Imbuement. This is going to be one of our big damage dealers. We're going to grab Enhanced Shadow Imbuement and then Blended Shadow Imbuement. We're going to come back, we're going to max out Shadow Step. We're going to grab 3 into the Stutter Step. We're going to max out Shadow Imbuement. And then we're going to max out Dark Shroud. And then we're going to hit Precision Imbuement for 3. We're going to come down and grab Adrenaline Rush for 3. Impetus for 3. And then finally, we're going to finish off with Victimize. Lucky Hit, dealing direct damage to vulnerable enemy, has up to a 30% chance to cause an explosion, dealing 23% of the original damage to them and surrounding enemies. This is really going to help with clearing out big crowds, and it's just going to make it a very speedy build for going throughout dungeons, and it's still going to do very well against bosses with Shadow Imbuement. Now, for the Paragon board, our first Paragon board is just going to be the starter board. I'm not going to go through each and every node, but I'm going to show you the path that I'm taking. The rare nodes that I'm going to be grabbing are mainly going to be just adding more damage. This is going to be kind of a glass cannon build, but you will be able to keep life up with just the different aspects we have with Dark Shroud and just using all the mobility that we have that comes with the rogue, the 2 dashes, the Shadow Step, and then the evade. So we're going to grab this glyph, and in this glyph, we're going to put the rare glyph Devious. Grants 50% bonus to all magic nodes within range. That's going to give us a 50% to armor, 50% to strength, 50% to damage, and 50% to intelligence. Then we're going to follow this path up here. This is going to be our Exploit Weakness legendary node board. An exploit weakness is whenever you deal damage to a vulnerable enemy, they take 1% increased damage from you for 6 seconds, up to 15%. And again, like I said in the beginning, we're going to be dealing tons of damage to vulnerable and crowd control enemies. That's going to be our main goal, is getting everybody vulnerable. We're going to come down here, we're going to put this rare glyph Efficacy, I think it's pronounced. Grants a 50% bonus to all rare nodes within range. Additional bonus imbuement skills effects have times 20% increased potency. So this again is going to help with shadow imbuement, and this is going to help us with bossing even more. So this is going to give a 50% bonus to all rare nodes. So all the rare nodes are going to be, so this is going to be 8% potion healing, 20% dexterity, and then it's also going to give us another 4%. I don't know if the bonus is also affected by the glyph. I think it is, so then we would be getting a total of 16% more potion healing from this. With this, we're going to be getting a total of we would get 40% more vulnerable damage and then 20 more dexterity. We're going to grab Hunter Killer, 16% damage to elites, 40% movement speed for blank seconds after killing an elite, and then we also get another 16% damage to elites. Over here, we're going to grab Cold Resistance Life and another 12% cold resistance. Over here, we're going to grab 4% damage reduction for vulnerable enemies, since generally all the enemies that we are going to be encountering should be vulnerable. So we're going to get 8% vulnerable damage reduction to us, and then we are going to get 100 armor. Let's go over here to Eldritch Bounty legendary board. When you attack with an imbuement skill, you gain 20% resistance and 20% increased damage for that imbuement element for 6 seconds. The rare nodes we're going to grab Imbuer, 15% imbued skill damage, 4% non-physical damage. The dexterity and strength will be gained from gear. The gear in D4 Builder doesn't have any of the stats we're going to be acquiring. Besides, it just tells us what gear is going to have which stats. Let's get back to where we were. So we're going to be grabbing rare node Suffused Resilience, 6.5% damage over time reduction, 4% resistance to all elements, and the intelligence, dexterity, strength, and all that. Don't worry about that. You'll be hitting all of these bonuses just by acquiring gear and leveling up. We're going to grab and put in this glyph. We're going to put Closer. For every 5 dexterity purchased within range, cutthroat skills deal plus 2% increased damage. And then we're also going to have a bonus of while wielding a melee weapon, you take 10% reduced damage. So this is going to affect dexterity. Sorry, I forgot where I was for a second. So for every 5 dexterity purchased within range, cutthroat skill, 2% increased damage. So we're going to have, where's dexterity? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So this should get us, so this will be getting us about 10% increased damage with cutthroat skills. We're going to come over here to our final board, which is going to be Cheap Shot. Cheap Shot gives you a 5% increased damage for each nearby enemy that is crowd controlled, up to 25%, which we should always be hitting this 25%. For the rare nodes, we're going to be picking up Wills, 6% damage reduction from slowed enemies, 10% or 10 extra dexterity, and then we'll be getting this bonus once we get the gear to acquire the 440 strength, which is going to be another 6% damage reduction from slowed enemies. And then we're also going to be taking Devious, 50% damage to crowd controlled enemies, 10 dexterity, and then we'll also be getting another 15% damage to crowd controlled enemies. And the glyph we're going to be taking is Pride. Paragon nodes within range gain plus 40% bonus to their physical damage and damage reduction modifiers. We also deal 13% increased damage to both healthy and injured enemies, which is going to help us out a lot with first striking and then also killing those enemies once we get them lower. So the stats for this, now the stats on D4 Builder aren't exactly accurate. They don't add in the Paragon points and what we'd be getting when our skills and bonuses from aspects are active. So this would just be base. This is what you would have when you first come to a pack of enemies. Critical strike chance is going to be 10.52%. Critical strike damage is at 50%. Overpower is 3. Vulnerable 70. Damage is 35. Damage versus elites is 41.5. Damage versus injured is 35. Damage versus crowd controlled is 37.5. Non-physical is 14. With skills is 46. With imbued is 75% damage. So this is going to be a big bossing damage multiplier. Life is 16%. Potions 20%. Potion charges is 4. This is just a base. I think you can get up to 9 full potion charges. I might be wrong on that. Our armor is going to be 731. Armor contribution is 50%. Resist all is 21.8%. Cold resistance is 24%. Reduction from slowed is 15. Damage reduction from vulnerable is 10. Damage reduction from damage over time is 17. Our dodge chance is 11.5. Energy regeneration is 28.1%. Movement speed is 100%. Elite kill movement speed is 28%. Now, again, all these values are going to be different once you get gear and once you have these skills active and you're actively going through killing enemies and popping potions and all the rest. It's going to change these stats. So these stats are very low for what it will be when you're actually leveling and playing throughout the game. And again, I just want to point out that there is going to be a day one patch that might change some values, that might change some aspects. Whatever it is, I will put in the comments down below what the updated guide is. and I will also link this build leveling rogue under the comments of my video. That's it for today. I can't wait to see you guys on the first and kill some demons. If you liked the video and you're going to try out this build, please let me know in the comments below. Also, if you liked the video, please give me a like and follow, and I will catch you guys on the first.